Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Another episode of the RT Machine podcast. We decided to stop saying what number podcast it is because nobody can ever remember.
Yeah, we can't keep up.
We're just going to get rolling.
Yeah.
So, special guest in studio today. We'll just going around the table real quick. Dino's here as always, working the board.
Ron's here.
Big boss. Special guest.
Jonathan Miller, owner and president of Colonial Machinery Sales and the Oakley Company.
And apparently a loyal listener of the show.
On occasion.
Which is good to hear.
Yeah, we appreciate that. So, Colonial Machinery, a lot of guys probably won't know that name, and on this podcast, people listen to our podcast, but it's an old-time machinery company. Do you know what year it was founded?
Yeah, so the company was started in 1983. My grandfather and another person went in together, and they actually started out making chair backs for a local chair company.
Oh, yeah?
So they had a contract to do that for a few years, and that contract ran out, and my grandfather bought the other guy out, and he just started getting machines and stripping them down and reconditioning them and selling them. And
next thing you know, he was in the machinery business, huh?
next thing you know, 4 buildings later and several hundred machines. And
Was it right there on that spot where you're at now?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Right in Elizabethton, Tennessee. So
Yeah.
it was actually part of a company called Bimberg and North American Rayon. Used to be in business there. It was built in the early 1900s.
So I know you're right next to that, but your buildings were part of theirs originally?
Well, the original building was part of theirs.
Oh.
And it was probably 10 years later when they actually, my grandfather and my father bought the main building that we're in now.
Okay. All right.
No, my grandfather started the company. Then my dad, he joined, I guess it was probably 86.
Okay.
He lived in Key West for a while, and he ran it the last 30 years, and he passed away this last September. So I actually worked as an engineer at a local company where I grew up at, and
so you were in town in the area?
Yeah, I probably lived 30 minutes away, but I worked as an engineer for a company called Aerojet. They got bought out by L3 Harris since then, but I left there the previous March, when he started getting sick, and I figured I better go up and learn as much as I can about it because, it was quite a bit to...
He battled that for a long time.
Yeah. He had prostate cancer for about 8 years.
Yeah. And he was stage 4 when they found it, right?
Right. Yeah. Yep. So now I'm running things, and right now currently scrapping out a bunch of stuff and trying to consolidate everything into one building.
Yeah, I told the boys I stopped down there, a month ago, maybe a little bit less. And I've never seen so much machinery. I thought we had a lot of machinery. But, it's the caliber of machinery is different. I mean, your dad never got rid of anything.
No. Yeah, there's a lot up there.
30 years ago would have been a gold mine, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it definitely was 30 years ago. All that stuff was sellable back then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Furniture machinery, basically that's what you have, a lot of old-time furniture machinery.
Yeah, so basically specialized in the old Bell equipment,
Right.
Trim and bore machines, glue and dowel, mortisers, pretty much any Bell.
180s, Bell 180s. I don't know if you remember those, Eric.
What's a 180?
It's a multi-head vertical chisel mortiser.
Oh, okay. Yep.
And
Gosh, we got probably 15 of them sitting around.
do you really?
Yeah.
Can't give them away anymore.
Yeah.
The Bell 100s, the boring machines, all stuff that we used to, back in my day, even early on. Because I started around 87, so it would have been the same time your dad came on board. And I told Jonathan earlier, I said, you went to an auction sale and there was a Bell machine there. If it didn't go to a customer, There was only one dealer that was going to buy it. There wasn't any of us. So we pretty much knew where the equipment was going, where those machines were going. So he bought everything.
Yeah, we probably had 50 or 60 Bell 24s sitting in the building.
Yeah.
But, occasionally we sell one, and got a quote out to a couple companies right now for it. And the thing was, back in the 90s was really the heyday for them. They had about 12 people working for them and about a 6-month backlog. They couldn't bring machines in fast enough before they'd have them sold.
Yeah.
And, around 2000, 2001, globalization turned its ugly head.
Yeah. Furniture industry ran to China. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like a light switch. I mean, in a month.
Yeah, it was quick.
Yeah, I had to lay everybody off, and so it still sells some machines. Mainly, it's more turned into a parts business now.
Right.
But like I said, occasionally we still sell some of the Bell machines, and so that was around 2001. By then, my dad was running the company. My grandfather, I think, said, I had enough. I'm retiring. So in 2005, the guy that owned the Oakley Company in Bristol wanted to sell it. And so my father bought it and got all the drawings and all the parts he had and several machines. So do a lot with Oakley, especially parts-wise.
Right.
At the moment. We're not making any new machines. I'd recondition one of them if
you had time. Huh?
If I had time or something.
And when you get the space, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's going to be nice whenever get everything spread out where you can actually walk around. I just told Ron, I said if Dad had a machine sold, it'd take 2 weeks for us to get to it to even pull it out.
I believe it, man. When I was there, we were like, well, your power was out actually when I was there, but I'd take my spotlight. I couldn't get to the machine. I just was like, oh yeah, it looks like it was packed. It was packed full.
Yeah, and
well, you're scrapping. Tell it how many pounds?
So far, of course, they're still working. I got a crew in there that's pulling out a lot of the older, obsolete machines and going through them and trying to figure out what to keep. But so far, they've pulled out about 1.6 million pounds worth of metal.
A lot of metal.
It's like unimaginable.
Yeah. There's some heavy machines there. For sure. That did you get that big blue sander right inside the door?
Yeah.
On?
Yeah, I got that out.
That was heavy.
Oh yeah. Well, I think one of the heaviest pieces of equipment was an old, I guess it was a big hot press.
That was outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, you showed that to me.
It was the big frame, and when the guy said, "Oh, we'll get it with the SkyTrack," and I said, "No, you won't." It took their 30,000 pound lift and a 10,000 pound lift and the SkyTrack to lift it up enough to put on the lowboy.
Wow.
Yeah, it was something to watch.
I didn't even look what kind. Was that a dependable or did it even have a name on it?
I never saw a name on it.
Yeah.
But we had a Newman hot press inside the building.
Yeah, that was an embossing press.
Yeah, and I know that was heavy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was real heavy.
Yeah, I told you that's probably what your dad probably craned that in there and stopped because they're tall and narrow and heavy.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we've had to do that once or twice here. We had a big Imaeus plywood sander.
Oh yeah, we had to crane that one.
One of the rare machines that we couldn't pick, and it was just swing it in the door as far as you can and plop it down.
Yeah, and it just pretty much stayed in that one spot.
That was a long time ago. Sorry, Miranda's doing photography.
Yeah, we gotta have she's got to do our promotion here, so.
Thank you.
Thanks.
No, I mean I've been around and worked in the family business my whole life. I mean, when I was a kid, go up there, Dad let me drive forklifts around.
Yeah, right.
Whatnot.
Yeah.
Work there during the summers, doing odds and ends. And of course, whenever, Dad would need help doing something, I'd be up there helping him. And so I've been exposed to it for, my whole life, but just really went full time with it since March. And, while he'd been sick, he hadn't been able to keep up the building or do any maintenance to the property or anything like that. So now I'm trying to get everything set up and repaired and kept up, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, some of that. I was telling them about the older buildings that you took me into. Like that one really wasn't safe for humans to be in. I think
Yeah, major roof problems. Yeah.
And you had told me that guys did that video on the big building next door.
Benberg, yeah.
Yeah, but I found one, but they weren't in that building. They were in your building.
Yeah. So,
did you see that one?
Yeah, there was actually, there's a couple videos of actually breaking in, and our business is in a spot that there's a lot of homeless, people and riffraff around. So I call the law all the time. I have, cameras set up and I get a picture sent to my phone and just call the law. But, we had several hundred trees on the property that I've had cut down, and that's dramatically
open things up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I figured out, the thieves and the riffraff, they don't like open areas with light.
Yep. Somebody can see them.
So I haven't had any problems.
I'll have to look for the other videos, because this one, the guy, I mean, as soon as he started in, I was like, well, that's like an Oakley stroke sander there. And then that one room or that one building around back, when we walked by that Madison molder sitting outside, and there's a crane, a crane out there with a tree growing up in the middle of it. He walked right past all that stuff, and I'm like, he's on Colonial's property.
Yeah, they were like, this is an abandoned warehouse, abandoned property.
Yeah.
And I got on the comment section, though, and I said, actually, a company called Colonial Machinery Sales owns that, and if they catch you, they will prosecute you.
Well, they got chased by a dog, because all of a sudden at the end, he comes on, he was in his car, and he's huffing and puffing. He goes, we got just chased out by a dog.
Well, actually, they had and I don't know if it's the animal shelter up there or what, but I mean, they drop off, dogs and cats up there, all the time. And
Really?
they had I actually had a pack of wild dogs. I call them wild. They're probably, a couple of them might have been domesticated at one time, but, the only thing they do is just bark at you. And, I guess that was enough to keep anybody off the property.
Now, the big building next to you, did anybody ever get inside that one with those videos? It's all fenced in.
Yeah, there's a couple videos.
That might be interesting to see. Is there stuff still in there, or is it just empty?
It's all empty. The guy that owns it, he actually one section of it he has leased out to a few little companies. But I think it's 4 or 5 stories tall, and it's all emptied out. And I think he's put a fortune into it, trying to, fix a lot of the things with it.
You said it was like $9 million to take it down or something, right?
Yeah, to I guess remediate it all and demolish it.
Wow.
Yeah, because apparently they couldn't, just tear it down and dig a hole and put it down in there, because that rayon, I guess the process used to make that rayon, it's kind of like
contaminant.
It's like a super fun site up there. So there's everything has to be trucked out that gets demolished.
Nasty stuff. So you have the Oakley, still selling parts for the sanders, stroke sanders, edge sanders, all that kind of stuff. You're still getting calls for that?
Yep. Right now, got several inquiries for pulleys.
Yeah, you were saying.
Yeah, and trying to find a sandcaster or a casting company that does sand castings. They typically want to do hundreds at a time, not just 3 or 4 pieces at a time. And we got all the patterns still, but fortunately for a lot of the pulleys, I think I can just get them machined out of aluminum. So
we might be able to help with that as well, because we went through some of that work when we bought out the Stratoplane business, and we still work with some of Rich's old suppliers from back in the day. So, but I think they also work with a local company.
Yeah, they're sourcing local. So, if Derek was here, but he might be gone by the time we're done.
I think he's plowing a lot right now.
Oh, okay.
I keep hearing the plow truck go by.
Can introduce you to him, but
I don't know what I'd do without Ron right here, because about every day I take a picture of a machine in the building there, and I'm like, is this worth keeping, or is there really a market for this? And he's like, man,
That's
nah.
That's what I told you after. Well, I came down there specifically looking for some Oliver Stratoplaners, and the one that I wanted to find, we couldn't. Maybe you will find it, but we couldn't find it.
Yeah, there's.
But I told you when I was there, I said, just send me a picture. I'll tell you the truth, man, what you should do with it, because most of it's going to be thrown away.
Oh yeah.
It's not worth the floor space or moving around or just sitting on it for any longer. So.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame. It's could be turned back into good equipment, but just the way the times have changed is just nobody wants that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and some of the customers we have actually still use some of that equipment.
sure.
Some of the
There's still-
shapers, and
Yeah.
still got several that actually do the bell machines.
Yep.
So I'm just going to try to keep all the machines that are still that I've seen in use and that are still, I guess, used out in these furniture companies. And that's mainly where most of the business was from, was, the bigger, I mean, North Carolina had, it had Thomasville and Henredon and Drexel,
Oh, there's a ton of
Hooker.
them.
I mean,
Yep.
and all those, were our customers, and they all went overseas. And
Saw your dad at every one of the auctions.
I'm sure.
It's interesting though, because you'll still see a sale pop up once in a while in North Carolina, on IRS or something, and it'll be full of that equipment. It's like, man, they were still going, and I'm sure there's still dozens of them down there.
I'm
that are
sure
just
there still are.
chugging away.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting to hear that you're getting quote requests for the old bell machines and that kind of thing. So
Still supply, parts to all the bell stuff. Got several shelves and cabinets of new parts for them. And
Well, you're probably the only source for that because, Bell's been out. Bell Challenger was built up by Deal, and I don't know that they support any of that stuff.
I think Nash had them at one time too.
Yeah, I think
maybe.
you're right. Yeah, and they're gone.
Medalist and.
Yep.
But yeah, I know it's passed out throughout the years, but as far as I know, I mean, me or Crisco maybe might have some.
He might have some. Yeah, he's doing some Greenlee stuff now,
Mm-hmm.
and some Madison stuff. We've gotten parts from him for those.
Yeah,
But
I know he's heavily involved with Madison.
Yeah, we haven't had a bell machine here, and probably won't. So if anybody wants one, we'll send them your way.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's not. We just don't get any calls for that stuff. But
yeah, I mean, that's why we don't really know about the shops that still pop up in North Carolina that are using that old equipment, because it's not the stuff that we deal in
yeah,
anymore. So
if they searched it, they wouldn't find us because we just don't. We don't deal in that. So
Yeah, it was funny. Eric said that. I guess I went with Dad to one of his doctor's appointments, and I was looking on IRS auctions, and there was one of those plants that did pop up, and I said, my gosh, Dad, look here at all the, they had Bell, equipment, Whitney Shapers.
did you have to hold him back from wanting to bid on them?
He was like, well, keep an eye on it. Go for it. I'm like, we need to be getting stuff out, not bringing stuff in.
Did he ever bid on IRS? I mean, he was really old school. Did he ever even participate in their stuff?
Yeah,
Did he?
Yeah, he did. He bought a lot off of it.
Okay.
But what I'm thinking is, I think he went to these auctions and he must have just bid on like a lot of 10 or 20 machines just to get one machine he wanted, and he'd get the other ones and throw them in, one of those outbuildings.
Yeah, right.
Saying, I'll do something with these later.
Yeah. Yeah, we've learned, we've done that. Well, we can rebuild this later, and then 5 years later, Eric's like, why did you buy this thing? So, seems like you never get there.
yeah, the conversation sounds very familiar. Like, did you have to hold him back from bidding? We just did that yesterday, where there was a sale online, and there were only 2 machines that we were interested in, and the one we weren't even really interested in, but I accidentally popped a bid on it, and
Accidentally.
damn, we got it.
It was so cheap you couldn't resist.
And the other one that we actually wanted went too high, and I kept calling Dad, like, how bad do you want this thing?
Yeah, that's the thing. If it goes cheap enough, then it's like, well, heck, how much is it going to cost me to get it back here?
Yeah. I bought the first piece, so it's like, all right, I got to send a truck up unless I'm going to abandon it, which I don't really like doing, because then you get blacklisted by the auctioneer.
Right. Yeah, it's the one he really wanted. We had just sold one, but it took us a while to get rid of that one. So you're trying to weigh how much do you really want to invest in this thing. So it's a juggling act, and it's getting more of a juggling act. Back in the day, you just bought whatever, you knew you were going to sell it one of these days, but
Yeah.
sitting on stuff for 2, 3, 4 years, it just doesn't make any sense anymore. So, and your dad sat on. We saw some of those purchase dates like 30 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, several from, the early 90s. And,
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
But that was the
several.
old. I mean, that was the old way. I worked for carpenters, and if he had 15 Tanowitz table saws in the warehouse, he would still buy one if it went cheap enough. I mean, that's just a mentality. It's cheap. I got to buy it. And I think your dad had the same.
Yeah, I know he bought out several tool rooms. He always told me there was a pallet had I think a couple Madison ripsaw chains on it and a few other parts on it. Anyways, he actually got the pallet of those parts for like $500, and he told me he's already sold like $30,000 off of it. And there was still a couple things left on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Madison chain he probably sold like instantly.
Yeah. But as far as, got all kinds of electrical equipment, components, relays, starters, fuses, anything you could think of, and bearings, got boxes and boxes of bearings.
Yeah. It was a lot easier back in the day if you were standing at an auction sale. It was just you and whatever crowd was there, and sometimes it could be pretty light. Today, it's the World Wide Web. You look at it and think, man, if I could steal that, and the next thing you know, it's going for thousands more than it should because
Yeah. More of a crowd.
It's a different world right now. So
Absolutely, yeah. And we had, we had probably 20 forklifts, and maybe 2 of them actually halfway ran. So I got rid of most of them, and
Yeah,
actually got 2 new ones.
you said he had a big red out there, probably a 30,000-pound lift, flat tires, looked like it'd been sitting out there for 10 years or something.
Yeah, I said, the amount of money it'd take to put into this and you get it going, it wouldn't be worth buying one that is running.
Yeah, it was old.
That age.
Did they scrap that out?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they scrapped that.
It might break your heart, but what is a big red?
A Taylor.
It's actually a Taylor?
Yeah.
Okay, I figured that's what you were talking
Yeah,
about.
it's a Taylor. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It looked like a Taylor.
Yeah, it was a Taylor. Yeah.
There were several out there when we walked between the buildings, I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The truck, there was a pickup truck there you said was your dad's old truck.
Oh, yeah, he drove that for years.
Yeah.
I think he drove it till, I guess it was 2004.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. The front end was all beat up on it. But he'd have it, he hauled machines on it. I remember, I think he had to replace the leaf springs in it 3 or 4 times. But
It's like the building for pickers, except there's no pickers for his equipment. The antiques were there, but not like those guys that come in there. And
yeah, it would have been a great museum. And
yeah, right.
yeah, of course, there was several machines in there that had been, I guess they reconditioned and cleaned and had ready to go. And so I moved all them over to the side. And
You had 2 big scissor lifts there too. Did you pull them out? They
Yep,
were over towards
yep.
the spray booth.
Yep, got them out.
You ought to send me the stuff on those. The serial number tag and what they are, size of the top, how big they are. We could probably sell those for you.
Okay. I know we have the guy, doing the scrap. He found some dock levelers,
Oh yeah.
hydraulic dock levelers. I think 6 of them. So I left them. But yeah, I'm still finding stuff didn't know, Dad had up there. It was just so crammed tight, full of stuff.
Well, like I said back then, you'd be an opportunist. You go to an auction sale and something goes cheap. Even if you aren't in that business, you take a shot at it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure that's what he was doing. So
Yeah, we still fight that battle here too. There's stuff that's been laying around here since there's still probably stuff that's left over from Chambersburg. We've gone through several clean outs over the years where it's like, all right, we're just going to clean house and start over. But then, there's some of us, like I've been in this business since I was a kid. Obviously Dad started the company. Joe has been with us since the very beginning as an old school guy, and you'll pick up some part and it's like, no, you can't throw that.
yeah, we had that machine shop area I showed you used to be a parts room for old parts. And Joe used to love to go in there and root around, but we started to learn that if he went in there for a couple hours to look for a $50 part. He just cost us more than the $50 we should have paid for the part. So the easiest solution for Eric and I was just to throw it all away.
Yeah.
That was a bad day for Joe.
Oh,
It was a
painful.
bad day. He was not happy with it.
I still hear about it on probably
Oh,
a
yeah.
daily basis. 'Cause
Yeah.
you know, he'll be fixing up a machine. That Joe does some parts help for us, and he's just a really good resource to have around. And then, you know, once in a while he'll do like a refurb or do some testing work for us here in the shop still. And he'll be working on a machine, and he'll call me or I'll bump into him. He'll be like, "Yeah, I need this part for this machine because it's faulty." And I know we had one here, but it's gone now.
You guys threw it all away. Yeah, he's hit me up down a couple times.
I know, Joe.
Yeah, yeah, bad.
Yeah, no, I was smart enough to, there towards the end, I got my video camera. I bought one of them handheld video cameras and made Dad walk around the whole, building.
Telling you what stuff was. That's
Yeah.
a good idea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was smart.
At least.
Because I tell you, some of those parts in there, I wouldn't have a clue what they are. I mean,
Oh,
you have
absolutely.
that
Yeah.
one office was just full of parts, and you have shelves out there full of parts. I mean, I don't know, is much of that even marked?
Not a lot of. I mean, he had it grouped by like a section was for Madison lathes, and this section was for, root parts, and so now basically what I've been telling customers is, hey, if you don't care, could you send me a picture of it?
Yeah, maybe I can match it up.
At least gives me an idea of
Sure.
where to go look at in the building.
I mean, the multi-spindle heads that they had, I should have taken a picture of that. The shelves of multi-spindle heads was just crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what they were for. We didn't know if they were bells or roots. But in my world, it didn't matter. I don't care. I wouldn't want them no matter what. It was just interesting to see them.
I think they probably went on, all of them.
It might have just been a mix of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to have a shelf like that in our parts room.
Yeah, we
full
did.
of multi-spindle heads that
Yeah.
we never used, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's like some guy calls in and he says, "Well, I need 4 spindles and I need 1.5 inches between the first 2." And so you're out there like checking. It's like it never matched up. So you just wasted your time. So we're just like, throw them all away.
Yeah, and I believe it was Hickory Tool in North Carolina that would make all those spindle heads.
Forest City made, well,
that might have been it.
Forest City made
Yeah,
some.
Forest City.
They
Yeah.
used to make them new. Back in the day, I don't know if they still make them or if they're even around.
Yeah, I know they make they made a lot of the tooling for most of those machines.
Yeah.
Still got the catalogs, and that's another thing. We got 8 or 9 file cabinets of just nothing but just machine literature.
Yeah.
And some of it's back from the early 1900s.
Is that right?
Yeah, there's some old documentation and
From
literature.
from my
and
museum here. Huh?
Yeah, that would be a good thing for it.
Yeah.
Did you take him upstairs to John's office?
No.
Okay, that might be interesting to him.
Yeah.
We have all the stuff from the Straight-O plane, and there's 14 file cabinets up there. It's just
Gosh.
full of old drawings. And
Yeah, they have everything from probably the first machine they ever made, and it's all paper drawings and hand drawn and all that stuff. So
Yeah, all the Oakley stuff.
that would be all hand. Yeah.
Yeah, we got the big drawing, cabinets. with all
When
the
did they stop making machines? Do you
Well, it was before Dad got them. I know when my dad bought the company, he only made one new machine. It was a D1.
remember? Oh, did they still make the D1?
Yeah. So Dad made one of them. And I think
Your dad made?
Yeah, my dad made one.
yeah.
So that was the last, I think, new machine that was made.
Okay.
late 80s, probably.
Well, no, it was 2000. It probably would have been 2007 when he made that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was.
Is that when he bought the company? It was in the 2000s.
It was 2005.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I missed that. Okay.
Huh. And they were out of Virginia.
Bristol, Virginia. So that's located. It was about 20 minutes up the road
Oh,
from
okay.
us. So
Huh.
it wasn't that far to go. Yeah, I had to make several pickup truck loads over there,
Mm-hmm.
to help them go get it. All the stuff and
Even for all the patterns and stuff?
all the patterns. We have a huge
I was gonna say,
area.
that was a lot of pickup truckloads, I would bet.
Yeah, yeah. I think he even got a couple local carriers to bring a bunch of stuff over.
Yeah, I would think you'd need a tractor and trailer for a bunch of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting that the big flatbed truck we had in the building that they used to go to all the auctions, it probably hadn't been started in 30 years. And we got it pulled out, and one of the guys that's scrapping for us, he brought 3 batteries and hooked it up to the truck. Well, he cranked on it, and after 2 times, it rolled right over.
No kidding.
Yeah,
I'll be darned.
yeah, I guess a mouse or a rat had chewed through the air brake line, so the air was blowing out. But the motor and everything sounded great. I was shocked.
Yeah, that is amazing. Did your dad used to go, when he went to an auction, did he do his own rigging and pull it out and put on that truck or what?
A lot of it.
Did he really? Yeah. I didn't know that. Because I always, after the auction, I'd always just leave. So I didn't realize he did his own.
Oh, yeah. He loved to get on forklifts.
Yeah. I'll bet he had to.
Yeah.
Moving all that equipment around. That's crazy.
He'd tell me, he said, heck, I'd get my stuff. I'd just go over there and get the closest forklift I saw and start loading my stuff. And then people start coming up to me asking if I could load their stuff. And I'm like, hey, this ain't even my forklift.
Some rigger probably had it staged there. He just jumped on it and used it. Yeah. That's kind of funny.
I'm sure the liability on that was
probably, yeah. The things that you could get away with back then versus now, it's unbelievable.
A lot less lawyers back in the day.
Yeah, he said you could just walk in the back of one of these furniture companies and go up and say, where's the maintenance manager at? I said, gosh, you do that now.
Probably get thrown out.
Oh, yeah, you go to jail probably for trespass and everything else.
Yeah, especially those bigger companies.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. The different rules now, for sure.
I definitely picked a snowy time to come up.
Yeah. Well, I called you earlier in the week, and I was like, make sure, because you're not used to this kind of snow down there. I assume. Did you guys get some snow last week, or?
Yeah, we got about 3 or 4 inches.
Yeah.
It wasn't too bad. I think what happened was it snowed quite a bit, then it turned to rain.
You got ice on top of it.
Yeah, and it compacted it all down, and it was a little tricky for.
So it's been colder down there this winter for you?
Yeah, it was 7 degrees the other morning.
Damn.
That's East Tennessee, so
it's chilly for you guys. Huh?
Yeah, that's really cold for you guys.
Yeah, it was real cold.
That's cold for us, but we can. We're used to that occasionally.
Yeah, we usually get a couple days that in the single digits every year. But,
now they're saying we're going to be in the 40s by the end of next week or something.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
Yeah, like a heat wave.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they're calling for I think 1 or 2 degrees. It being tomorrow or Sunday.
Is that right?
Yeah. But like you said, it goes up to 40 or 50 degrees next week.
Yeah. You won't be going over to the shop tomorrow?
Probably not.
Well, some of the southern states just they don't have the infrastructure for that kind of stuff. If the roads ice up, I'm not sure how Tennessee is, but.
I was in North Carolina. John Johnson was down there with him in Asheville looking at a plant. This was years ago. And they got snow. It was quite a bit. It might have been 5-6 inches of snow, and they just shut everything down.
Yeah.
You couldn't even pull over to get a sandwich. They sent everybody home. And
wow.
John was driving separate. So, me, I driving along, and people were going too slow. Like we were talking this morning, I get in the left lane. And I didn't really think much about it. John followed me, but man, when we finally did find a place to get something to eat, when we were back in Hickory or something, and he was like, "Oh," his white knuckles, man. He's like, "What is wrong with you?" He said.
Dean and I were on the phone with a machinery dealer out in Oregon, who's a friend of ours, and we started talking about the weather, and he goes, "What's it like over there?" I said, "Oh, it's snowy, and it was like 5 degrees when I got up this morning." He goes, "Yeah, it's like that here." And there was a pause, and he goes, "You guys still function out there when it's like?" It's like, yeah, man. We go to work. There's things to be done. He goes, "Oh no, nobody gets out of their house when it's that cold."
They just stay in their house. Wow.
He goes, "The road in front of my house is a sheet of ice, and it's going to stay that way until it warms up."
They don't even. They probably just don't have the equipment for it.
No.
Huh. Yeah, they certainly didn't in North Carolina. There was nothing done. You just had to wait until it melted.
Yeah, nowadays they just call for snow and then you look on the news and all the schools are closed. And
I think they were closing them down up here already, and it hadn't even started snowing yet, right?
Yeah, and some of it was because of the cold, I'm sure. They don't want the kids
Yeah, the
out
cold.
for the
Yeah,
bus.
that's why I'm up in New York the other day, and it was like 0, and he had a delay, and it was because of the cold, not the snow.
yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, well, especially if your kids got to sit out there for a school bus.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's just way too cold. So
We're doing a trade show in Indiana next week. It's called the Midwest Tool Expo, and I got up not this morning, a couple days ago when it was 5 or 7 degrees or whatever, and I checked the weather, and then I checked the weather in Indiana, and the wind chill out there that day was minus 16. I was like, oh my God. But then I looked next week, and it's going to be mild.
yeah, that's good. That's good.
Because we went out to that show one time, and 3K Machinery exhibits out there. Their truck gelled up on them. Cody and I were having trouble getting the old Toyota Camry we had at the time to fire up, and playing rock, paper, scissors every morning for who was going to go
Clean the car.
Wow.
But
Yep, we're ready for a warm up. So
you're cleaning house and everything. Do you have plans for the future, or you just?
Yeah, so still going to focus on, still going to try to supply all the bell parts and even recondition, any 24s or 424s or any bell machine, as well as recondition, any Oakley machines and provide parts for that. Right now, a lot of our parts orders, we actually have to get made out of, contract out with a local machine shop. So that's one of my backgrounds is in machining. So I'm going to try to get a functional machine shop going because I can make, most of the parts that we sell. So, and plus, I can do that for, other people
Sure.
in the area.
mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the direction I'm thinking of going right now, but still going to, provide part support, mainly, and, on occasion recondition a machine or two, but
Well, that's good. So you got your future planned out, at least for now.
yeah, try to keep I'm third generation and got 2 kids. I don't know if they'd want to, be interested in any part
They're
of
young, so you just have to wait and see how that progresses.
it.
You never know.
But
So, all right. Well, that's great. I'm glad you came up and
yeah, glad to
got
be
give
here.
you a tour and get on the podcast with us. If anybody wants to get a hold of you about Oakley parts or Bell parts, you watch the website. You got email and everything on there.
www.colonialmachinerysales.com. Got a website, and just feel free to give me a call.
And they can always call us if they need to, and we
Absolutely.
can
Yeah, we can put the contact info in the show notes probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Well,
Yep. Anybody needs any help with Oakley or Bell, or wants to find an old machine, he might have it.
yeah, if not, we can find one between all.
Yeah, between us, we should be able to find something, right?
I told Ron, I said, there's not really many, machinery dealers like this, so
No.
it's kind of people's eyebrows are raised whenever you say, "Oh yeah, well I can call this dealer," and they said, y'all work together, and it's like, well, mainly, yeah, because there's not much people that do it, so
That's right. We all know each other and work together, so it works out well.
We were talking about it this morning, getting more involved in one of the machinery associations, and it was like, we might as well because nobody else is looking out for the machinery guys. We got to watch each other's backs.
That's right. That's right. For sure.
So,
oh yeah.
All right. Well, again, thanks for coming, and make sure safe trip back.
We'll try.
Keep
Yeah.
it between
Thanks
the
for having
ditches.
me.
Yeah. All right.
really nice meeting you. Thankful for the new friendship here.
Absolutely, yeah. I look forward to working with y'all.
All right. Sounds good.
Don't forget to support our buddies at Green Street Joinery by subscribing to the American Craftman podcast and their new YouTube channel, Today's Craftsman. Both links in the description of today's podcast.